exactly are we going to do about these outbreaks? The lives of my citizens are at risk, and so far no one has come up with any sort of idea as to how to stop them.
Well, I think our best bet would get the avian flu vaccine to the masses as soon as possible. We have to try to produce as much of the vaccine as we can and as quickly as possible. And then we have to treat all the students and town members that are displaying symptoms.
Why do we have to produce a new vaccine? Isn't there any sort of vaccine already created for this virus? Exactly how unprepared for all of this were you?
It's not nearly that simple. Viruses mutate their genetic codes to become immune to the vaccines we create. They're constantly adapting to stay alive. That's why you can still get the flu virus even after you've had a vaccine the previous year.
Vaccines contain dead virus particles, so people can start to develop immunities to them instead of getting sick. An antibiotic might help to prevent a secondary infection, but it won't do anything to the virus itself. The idea of treating everyone with a vaccine is almost a moot point. I've glanced through some of the students' medical records, and some have egg allergies.
What does an egg allergy have to do with anything?
Most vaccines are produced by injecting the virus into chicken eggs as a growth medium, which means that anyone allergic to eggs can have a very severe reaction. And even so, producing a surefire vaccine that way could take 4 or 5 months in the very soonest. And frankly, we don't have that sort of time.
Is there no other way to produce a vaccine other than with eggs?
There are a few ways, but they all have their pros and cons. There's a crippled strain of the virus that we can use and put it into a nasal spray, but it can't be administered to the very young or very old. And hopefully we can develop a universal vaccine eventually, but we're nowhere near that point. We've also had several students that have had serious reactions to the flu vaccine in the past, and one student with GBS, which is an immune system condition. None of these people should be receiving any sort of the vaccine. The point is, we can't vaccinate everyone, and definitely not quickly enough.
At this point, I think the only choice we have is quarantine.
You can't be serious. There are thousands of students on this campus, not to mention all the people in your town.
I won't allow you to cut us off from the rest of the world.
What other choice do we have? None. We can't produce a vaccine quickly enough to immunize everybody and keep the disease from spreading even further. We have to seal off anyone who could have possibly been in contact with that virus, or we could very well have a pandemic on our hands.
As president of this university, I believe you're right.
But President,
we don't have a choice. Make the announcement that all classes are canceled until further notice, and alert the students that they're to remain in their rooms. I don't want anyone leaving this campus. Start inoculating as many as you can who aren't showing symptoms with whatever vaccine we have.
What about the rest of the city?
Okay, I'll make a public announcement.
Hi, dearie, how you doing? You look so sick. Oh.
Grandpa, can you believe what's going on with me? What's wrong? I feel so miserable.
When I was working in the hospital in 1957, we had something like this. I was in charge of the respiratory unit in the hospital, and we saw cases come in every day. They say it killed people left and right, like just in America, like 70,000.
Really?
Just in 1 year. It was not as bad even as that in 57 as it was when I was a young whippersnapper. 1918, ever heard of 1918? Right after the Great War. Oh, that was bad.
Oh my goodness, Grandpa, is that what I have?
Missy, I hope not. In 1918, I was lucky, and I didn't get it, but lots of my friends got it. Many people about my age. I was about your age back then, and many of my friends got it. People died left and right.
Oh no! Am I going to die? Why were they my age?
Well, that's how that Spanish flu was in 1918. It was mostly healthy people like you, and not old farts like me. Years before they say, the doctors, they don't know what they're talking about. But they say maybe that years before 1918 there was something like it that went around that made the old folks immune to it. But they don't know what they're talking about. They say that's what World War I, the Great War, and I was a soldier in France. I went over on a troop ship, and like 500 of us going over on that troop ship. By the time we got there, there were 106 soldiers and 35 dead ones. And that's before we ever even saw the Germans. That's how bad it was.
Did this huge outbreak affect, like, everyone?
I call it a pandemic. That's supposed to be worse than an epidemic. An epidemic is when a city gets sick. A pandemic is when the whole world gets sick. We had one in 57, we had another in 68. That wasn't as bad. That killed 34,000 Americans, in 1968.
I really hope what I have doesn't turn into something like that. I don't want to die, Grandpa.
Oh, you're not going to die. Technology is better than it was. We got better doctors, we got better vaccines, better treatments, and be aware that, not to go coughing in people's faces and to wash their hands. And, I hear at the University of Kentucky, there's a special class that's presenting the flu for all. That's going to educate society, educate the students, and that's going to stop this thing in its tracks. When you get better, you should check it out.
Wow, that sounds like a great plan. You're the only one who understands what I'm going through. Will you stay with me for a while until I get better?
Sure thing, soldier. I'll stay. We'll get through this together. Just let me put my